right. Drive Time Diary. Second episode. It's my day 3 of orientation in my new school district. Yesterday was weird. I walked away out to the parking lot in the afternoon just thinking that it was not a good day. Mostly because we did a tech training in the afternoon. Myself having led a lot of tech trainings in the past and sitting through lots of them also when it's a new tool or a new website and everyone doesn't have their login yet, it typically goes kind of disastrous feeling. The presenter has a slide deck and a plan that they want to accomplish for the day, and a certain percent of the room cannot log on or forgot their login, and it just like derails everything. On a bad day is a hiccup on a good day that it's just not fun to experience. Kind of depends on the level of support. Well, yesterday there was a room full of teachers new to the district that had a cornucopia of new websites to log into, and our tech director, bless her, like she did her darndest to be ready for it and organized for it. And there's this table and a doc that she had that had everything hyperlinked by our roles. Like it was broken down by early childhood, elementary, middle, and high school, and had links in there and directions for how to log in, or like tips for what your login probably is, and it just still fell apart. So that was like the end of the day experience, and that was really frustrating. I'm positive it was frustrating for the leaders in the room too, because it did not go how I'm sure they wanted it to. And that left me forgetting that the morning was pretty good. We did some more get to know you activities, and we talked a little bit about the history of the district, and we looked at the strategic plan. It's brand new for 2023 to 2028, and that was good stuff. And we got a chance to talk to new people in our cohort, and we had a expedition field trip challenge for lunchtime that was, we actually do it. I went to lunch with most of the other high school teachers that are new, and that was our own little expedition. But the idea of it was really captivating, and so the planning that went into that was awesome, and lunch was good for conversation. We invited one of the high school teachers. I think all the high school teachers went. One of them mentioned while we were there, or on the way there, I drove the guys, and he mentioned that he did not expect to get invited, and then we invited him, and so that was a cool moment of belonging that we got to celebrate. Someone who had expected to not belong or not be invited, we did, and hadn't really thought about it, and that was cool too. So it was great for relationship building, and I found out in the morning that there is early childhood or elementary teacher that lives up by me, so that was a cool connection. And the morning was great, and then the afternoon was just so frustrating that it tanked all of it. The thought that is going through my head for today that is also, I think, some core value, core language that leadership keeps bringing up is that they want us to bring our authentic, true self to the classroom. And that's a value for students also. And I think that wording comes along with the social justice equity initiative that the board passed in 2017. And this past summer, they passed a brand new, or spring maybe, this year, they passed a new LGBTQIA plus initiative for inclusivity. And so this idea of bringing your authentic self to school is in the culture. And that's great. I love that. I know that the past 6 years, my students that had to wear uniforms and conform to the rules that we had at our school, they often felt like they could not be their authentic selves. And I know that I have often felt that way myself in the classroom. So I'm really excited to see how that pans out, because I think we're all most comfortable when we can just be ourselves. I think a little bit of that is language that goes along with these initiatives, like I just mentioned. And also there's been a lot of student first language. So I guess what I'm wondering is, at what point, or what happens if me being my authentic self conflicts with a student being their authentic self, and that breaks a policy or at least makes for some hurt feelings and feelings of non-inclusivity in the classroom. Like, who's gonna win there? I have a feeling that because we're all saying that we're student first, that the adult in that situation is gonna have to be the one to be less authentic. What I mean by that, in yesterday's drive time, I was talking about how I hold to a framework worldview shaped after the Bible, Judeo-Christian, people might also say. It's kind of an older term now, from 30 years ago maybe, but I believe that there are two genders, and that God created us that way for special roles and complementary roles, and that also Creator's design was for men and women to procreate and to bless the world in that manner. So what I do not have any intention of doing, and what I have not done in the past when I've had kids that were exploring their gender identities or exploring their sexual identities, I do not have any plans to be brash and abrasive and demeaning about that. Probably don't even have any plans to bring it up. But I do have plans in my authentic self to authentically be a person that Jesus matters to. And I hope to make that even more clear than I have in the past, as I am my authentic self. I'm still figuring out how I'm going to do that in the classroom. But even if I'm not being like overt about it, a kid comes into the room and I refuse to use their preferred name or their preferred pronouns. Even if I don't do that, I suspect that it could come up. am just leaving myself open to the opportunity that there could be some tension there. And I think it's wise and prudent to be prepared for me to expect that in a public setting, if I'm being encouraged to be my authentic self, that there will be a moment where I have to decide how that plays out. How does my authentic self come up against this student's authentic self? How does my authentic self match with the board policy? And this is not new for teachers at all. It is new-ish with regards to the cultural movement of gender and sexual identity expression. But I mean, the last generation's thing was evolution, I'd say. Before that, it was maybe even just prayer in schools in general. This was kind of before my time, but I've heard, I guess, seen in movies, read about that expressions of Christianity used to be like plastered onto schools, and 10 Commandments in classrooms, that kind of thing. Like, I did not grow up in that setting, but 40, 50 years ago, I think that was the question that Christians were wondering about when things that they were used to, when those are taken away and questioned, how is the Christian going to respond to that while remaining faithful to Jesus? And so the fact that someone trying to be authentic in their faith and really being really serious about it, that a public school teacher like that is going to have some instances where they're going to have to figure out what that looks like. That's not new. It might be more polarized now than it has been in the past, because everything is polarized. But I do not intend to demonize anyone, and so we'll see where my new school hits on that. How real does it really mean that we're all supposed to be our authentic selves? Or is it your authentic self as long as it's not Christian? Which seems to sometimes happen in the public sphere. So we'll see. I'm going to hope for the best. I'm going to be praying for the best. There are a lot of things that led me here. Like I said yesterday, that were too many coincidences to not believe that God is ordaining it. And anytime that you pray in God's will, that He's going to bless it. So part of my job also is to, I think this is in 1 Peter, the book 1 Peter, imitate Jesus and be like Jesus, and then in that knowledge and wisdom you will be able to know God's will. And so that's what I do every day, and that's what I'm going to keep doing. And so hopefully through prayer and counsel and scripture and drive time diaries, I can be able to source that out and be prepared for whatever each day has for me. Currently, I am more than 5 minutes away from school, and I'm supposed to be there in 5 minutes, so I'm still working out this drive time thing. My previous commute was 3 miles from my house, and the worst traffic that I ever hit was a red light. Now I travel interstates and leaving later in the day also, so there's a rush hour component here. So I need to be better at that, because the last thing that anyone likes to see is a person that's late all the time. People don't like that. So, authentic self, here I am. That's today's thought. Yesterday was kind of frustrating because of technology stuff, and trying to avoid feeling super crazy next week when all of the staff is there, and trying to build even more relationships and officially plan my classes so I can be ready to teach these wonderful students. But I am getting my new computer set up, and got a dongle delivered this morning at 4 in the morning to connect all my things. So things are good. Since I was offered the position in the interview, as I was deciding whether or not to take the offer, I have felt nothing but welcome by everybody at my new school, and that is just continuing this week also, and in the time since then, as I've been interacting with people on Twitter. Maybe it's the new shine, a new staff, red carpet kind of rollout that I guess I experienced 15 years ago also at my other district. But feeling super welcome and super valued, and even though my own self-doubt wants to say that I'm going to struggle, I think that I'm going to have a fantastic school year. And I also just found out actually yesterday that my brother-in-law, who used to teach in my district, he had a lot of my freshman algebra students when he was teaching them for 5th and 6th grade. And he's apparently excited for a lot of the kids I have too, so that's really fun. So, I mean, I have basically no reason to be apprehensive about this year. Like I said, the only thing I'm concerned about is the political, cultural, hot-button issue of gender and sexual identity expression, and I am not typically of the ilk of being a culture warrior in that sense. So I'm gonna try to be flexible and always just be listening and thinking about what Jesus would do in that situation. And I know that even when he disagreed with people, he still loved them. And so we'll see what happens. I'm still driving, but that's drive time for today. I'm Chuck. See you later.